Welcome to another episode of Esoterica the podcast. I'm Chris Schultz.
I am Aaron Christian.
And we are your hosts. And this is our show. So I'm going to start off with preface this whole thing by saying apparently I have laryngitis.
Apparently, you clearly do.
So I got that going on tonight, but we're going to push through.
You sound like if I stepped on a mouse.
A squeak.
Yeah, or dead. Anyways.
So that's that. If you have been fortunate enough to stumble across us, please check us out on Facebook. We have a page, Esoterica the podcast, as well as a group for interactions with us. And you can also find our podcasts on Anchor and Spotify.
And just like our last episode, somebody forgot to mention our Instagram page.
Yes.
Have now up and running with some esoteric posts, which are...
Esoteric.
Yeah.
So check us out on our various social media platforms.
Yep.
So we want to start our episode tonight with our tradition of
Inadvertent tradition
of reviewing a esoteric soda or indie soda, as the case may be. Tonight we have the Simpson Spring coffee soda.
Coffee soda, as
Coffee.
Trump would say.
Yes.
Get it? Because that mistake you made that one time?
This is a sparkling coffee soda.
You know, I mentioned this earlier when we first got them. The label is always put on crooked, and I have a major problem with that.
It shows you that it's handcrafted.
Yeah.
It's not manufactured by a big machine. So I have had this once before, and I really liked it. One thing that I want to tell you going into it is if you've had like coffee syrup or coffee ice cream or coffee flavored milk, this is not that. This is like carbonated coffee. So it's good. So shall we break into it? And
Yeah.
holy Lord, I can't open it. I believe it's a twist off, but
Oh, ow. I need to...
I think it is actually a pop top.
You've had this before. How do you not know?
And I don't recall how I got into it, but I'm having a very difficult time breaking into this one. We need some. We need some.
I think I cut my hand.
I need to find a thingy-majig.
Well, you know, to preface this, we are in a church.
Yes.
So maybe there's some sort of bottle opener in here.
There might
Because,
be.
like, the whole blood of Christ thing.
Well,
I know it's wine, but, like, hear me out.
Here it's grape juice. But
I know, but you never know.
Go ahead, tell your story.
Well, I don't really have much of a story. Well, in the meantime, while okay,
Found the bottle opener.
yeah, that's okay. Is that? Oh man. See, I
Alrighty.
told you there would be a bottle. So okay.
I wasn't sure because this church we have grape juice and wine. So
Woohoo! Almost on my laptop.
oh, so we have a little bit of a fizz action going on over there.
Leakage. That's great. All right, so
I suspect it may be from when Aaron was playing slide guitar with a full bottle of soda.
that might
earlier.
have something to do with it.
Their paper
This
towels.
is a noisy little episode, isn't it? All right, so we're gonna clean up.
Aaron's going to go grab a paper towel, and I'm going to cough. Nope, I'm not. So I get a bit of a gutter lane problem going on here tonight. And hopefully it won't really ruin our episode. I think we're going to be all right.
Wow.
He made a bit of a mess over there.
Oh, it's in my leg.
Oh, no. So on my way over here today, I got stopped at the store, and I was stuck behind a Bartholomew baby, and she was taking all day to do her order. All right, Aaron's getting his mess cleaned up. I'm going to go ahead and take a sip of the soda and see how it tastes.
I'm gonna finish trying to open this. All right. We'll deal with the rest of that cleanup in a minute.
So definite strong coffee taste. Tastes like it's actually black coffee, sweetened and carbonated.
All right. Now that I'm back at the mic,
And he's taking a sip.
Holy crap.
That's coffee.
That's got a flavor.
So a little behind the scenes action. We have my daughter in the studio with us tonight. She just tried to sip and spit it in the sink. Because kids and coffee, it's not a thing.
It doesn't taste like coffee, in my opinion.
Do you drink your coffee black often, or do you always have it sweetened in with...
Medium regular.
Because to me, it does have a strong, like, black coffee taste.
Thing is I hate it, but I like it. And now I want to finish it.
It's kind of like a porter or a stout, you know, those heavy beers. Mm-hmm. Well, you don't know because you're...
I'm just... the fact that, like, yeah, you would know.
But, like, you try it, you like it, but you hate it, but you like it at the same time.
Yeah, it's not... It gives me molasses.
Yep, I can see a molasses. There's a caramel is one of the ingredients in it, which is not molasses, but...
I noticed it said all-natural coffee caramel color, and sodium... But so it's not... There's no commas in between there, which I think there's supposed to be, but there's no commas in between some of those ingredients.
Interesting.
Bizarre.
So that's Simpson Spring coffee soda.
Yeah, Simpson Spring coffee soda.
So I had a interesting shower experience that I wanted to tell you about today.
I'm already so uncomfortable.
So our boss and his family just got back from Tucson.
Yep.
And our boss's wife, wonderful lady, she always brings back a gift if they've gone somewhere exotic, like Tucson.
Tucson. Exotic.
Yeah.
Got it.
Maybe not the right descriptor for Tucson, but
somewhere not here.
Correct.
Yes.
So I'm gonna cough. Please excuse me. So she brought back this really bizarre Russian soap that is infused with shungite. Shungite. And for those of you who are not familiar with the wonderful world of mineral specimens, shungite is this shitty rock from Russia. But it's extremely rare and apparently has incredible metaphysical properties and healing. It's very sought after. All I know is that we often throw out of a lot of it because it gets infected. And it's a goddamn rock. So how it gets infected, I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird.
It is weird.
Tell me about your shower experience with it. Like, step by step, you hop in the shower.
Yeah. So
water's on your body.
Water is on my body.
And you now have this shungite soap in your hand, and you are lathering yourself up.
Yeah.
Well, tell me, how do you feel? I
feel like a Russian Superman.
Are you getting the metaphysical properties from it? Are you feeling like rejuvenated and just absolutely, you know?
If for the first 10 minutes out of the shower, absolutely, I felt like a new man. So here's an interesting thing. The smell of the soap is not what I'm used to, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of understated. The soap itself doesn't really lather up. Like when I got the bar wet and it stuck to me, which was weird.
Really?
It did. And I'm like, that's not how soap is supposed to work.
No, soap does not work that way.
But it ended up going into a lather, and it was great. And then when I used my shampoo...
It ended up going into a lather.
It was great. So
did it get frothy?
It got somewhat frothy. But then when I put the shampoo in my hair, like that reeked. It smelled really overpowering compared to the subtle Russian smell of the soap.
Right. I remember when she gave us the soap. I also got this soap. I haven't tried it yet because I was afraid of how the lather would work on me. But it's got, what, like a flower or a berry or something on it?
Some sort of Russian berry.
Yeah, something unique to Russia. And it smelled pretty good.
It did?
Yeah.
It did. I smell pretty good.
Yeah, you didn't smell like crap like earlier, so.
No. So I it's apparently like $10 a bar. It's not cheap stuff, but.
Is that $10? What is the monetary Russian currency?
I don't know. I used to rubles. Is it rubles?
You know,
it's rubles.
Probably. You know what's cool is we have Google in front of us. Well, while I'm looking that up, I saw you were doing some reading over there.
I was talking about the problems I'm having with my gutter lane tonight.
Your gutter lane?
My gutter lane is bothering me. So I found this book called The Vulgar Tongue. It's buckish slang and pickpocket eloquence.
It is ruble, by the way.
It is ruble?
Ruble.
Ruble. So this is a book of, I guess, colloquialisms and slang from Old English.
And just to be clear, we are currently speaking New English for those of you that may not be acclimated.
Is it still New English or is it just English now?
Well, we are in New England, so I'd like to think.
So it's New English?
Just talk about your book. I was trying to be funny, and
I just killed it.
You just.
So a gutter lane is the throat. And I was talking about being stuck in line behind a Bartholomew baby. And that's a person dressed up in a tawdry manner.
Tawdry manner.
Tawdry. You know, I love how they define it with a word that's also mostly out of use. Like, who says tawdry anymore?
I don't know. How's that spelled?
Tawdry. And I'm going to say it every day from now on.
I feel the need to look that up.
To look up tawdry.
Yes.
I'd hate to be on the business end of a barking iron, I'll tell you that.
Showy but cheap and of poor quality. Tawdry.
That sounds tawdry to me. So that's the Vulgar Tongue. It's a good read. I'd check it out if you like to use outdated idioms.
Outdated idioms.
Okay, before we go any further, I want to take a minute to talk about the awesome folks at Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way. In fact, it's the way that we make a podcast. Let me explain.
It's free.
There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer.
Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more.
And you can make money from your podcast. Best part, no minimum listenership.
Ooh. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
It's so cool. We found the service. We started using it. We're making podcasts.
Yeah, making podcasts, making money, having a good time.
So listen, you want to get you out there. You want to be heard. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Thank you.
So tonight's album is the Sound Museum presents Use of the Headlock Dummy, exercise number 1.
Exercise?
Yeah, so what this is the Sound Museum is currently, I believe, a studio or rehearsal space in Boston. And this was a compilation done in 1988 of a number of different Boston bands.
That was before I was born.
I was born. I was still in high school in 88. I was a freshman. I think I was a freshman. So, excuse me. So this is a collection of, I guess they were probably not underground bands, but these were bands that were popular at the time. I did, in preparation for tonight's episode, try to look these guys up. And a few of them are still kicking around. Most of them I found scant information on. So as we launch into it, the first track is Bonafide Lies by the Bent Men. And I want to give you a description of the Bent Men, who are actually performing a reunion concert on March 21st, coming up. Excuse me, at the Once Ballroom in Somerville. So, the Bent Men have been thrilling and bewildering audiences with their intense tribal drumming, pyrotechnic guitars, and mind-bending immersive theatrics. Where is it? They are a rock band performance art troupe that play disturbing, Dadaist psychedelia with the grotesque stage show, resulting in a blistering, confusing, and often mesmerizing performance. Each show is a themed extravaganza with stage design and costuming that could only be described as disturbing and wearisome. Bentman shows are paganistic affairs where people get tarred, feathered, and dragged to the stage to partake in ritualistic body shavings.
Oh my God.
So we're going to the show on March 21st, right? Well, before we commit to that, let's hear their track.
Yeah, so what we've done is we've used my record player, which I know is a Jensen, but I don't know the model or anything like that. The cool part about it is that the record player itself, or turntable, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to go with record player. If you plug a flash drive into it, you can record the vinyl into an MP3 file that we can use. So that's what we've done. So the quality might not be 100% because it's being pulled straight off of a vinyl, but it's there. It's something you guys will be able to listen to bits and pieces of throughout the episode. And
I'll try, and I believe I found a copy of this album on YouTube earlier, so I will post that to our Facebook page after we've put the episode up.
Awesome. So here is, what is the name of this track?
Bonafide Lies.
Bonafide Lies by Bettman. So people got tarred to that song?
I guess so.
Like tarred in what? What did they used to do to people?
Ritualistically shaved. I don't know what that means.
Weren't we watching that documentary, the war documentary, and they were saying they used to cover people in hot tar and feathers, call them a silly goose?
Yes, and run them out of town on a rail.
And that's just what I'm picturing at this moment.
I believe that there are videos online of some of their performances. We might have to check that out.
Wow. And the thing is I actually really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed listening to that. I'm just trying to picture it.
What that show would be like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like it was sort of like early EMD. Reminds me a lot of one of my favorite bands in the whole world, The Residents, which might be why I'm not disturbed by what I heard.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think disturb's the word I want to use.
I liked it. I thought it was a good track. I just also want to mention, they were co-founded by frontman leader William Desmond in 1984. They were pretty popular on the scene in the 90s and the aughts. And it does sound like they're back in action. They're going to be playing at the Once Ballroom in Somerville in March. So definitely worth checking out. I think I might go to the show.
I just want to backpedal for a second. The 90s and the whats?
The aughts, the early 2000s, before 2010.
Is that what that's called?
It's called the aughts, yeah.
I just called it the thousands.
That's an old-timey term, the aughts. Aught for zero.
Well, the next track we have for you is... You can say that.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce either one of those words. It's called Nias, I think, Nias.
Is the band. No, it's the song.
That's the song.
The band name is what I don't get.
Sazima?
Sazima, yeah. I mean, there's an X... So it must be the Z.
CZEMA?
CXEMA?
Yeah, did I say Z? Yeah, it's CX.
It's pronounced like a Z. So here's Nias by that band.
Sexma. So looking back at 88, 89, I think we're in the early industrial scene.
Yeah.
Before Nine Inch Nails went like full heavy. This track sort of reminded me of Ministry. I think early Ministry. Well, early Ministry, they were a new wave band. But late Ministry, I guess. Middle Ministry.
I feel like I've heard that song before, which doesn't make sense to me because, like, I don't know why I would have listened to it. But it sounded very familiar. Now... Maybe when I put the record on the turntable earlier to record it, I listened to part of it.
But it could be.
And that's why I don't remember trying to remember any of it. So, I don't know. Nonetheless, again, it's so weird, but it's stuck in my head right now. And I thoroughly enjoy it. So,
literally, the only information I found online about that band was that it was founded by Danny Lee in 1987.
Well, I guess one thing I have to say about that is if I could pronounce the name of the band, I would feel a lot better about it. But I thoroughly enjoyed it.
So our next track is The Living End by Scanner Darkly. Actually, one of the members of Scanner Darkly has autographed the cover to the album. Terrence Donahue, who is also a member of Alloy Orchestra, which is really cool industrial instrumental band from Boston. They would go to theaters and do a live score to silent films. like Metropolis and stuff. I saw them a couple of times live, and it was a really, really, really good band. And I met Terrence a few times. He's a really cool guy. So this Scanner Darkly must have been a band predating, I guess, the Alloy Orchestra. And I couldn't find any information about them online. So here is their track, which was called
The Living End.
The Living End.
So I really enjoyed how the drums were in that because they didn't match up with anything, which I know sounds like it would be completely awful, but I genuinely enjoyed that. Like, for that reason. I like weird things like you do. Like, you listen
like
to
me.
difficult music. But like I like it for the technical reason that it doesn't make sense, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. I totally get that. Yeah, that was interesting. Sort of a new wavy feel.
Yeah, new wavy, for sure.
We're only like 3 songs in, but I definitely feel like, you know, when you think of Boston and you think of Boston bands, you think of Boston and the Cars and Aerosmith, and maybe if you're cool, you think of Morphine. This is definitely not that. This is a different taste of Boston, for sure.
So our next track is by a band called a Red Crescent Sect.
Yes, they were originally known as Battaglia Cantare.
Really?
From Southampton, New York.
Southampton, New York.
Yep. They have a few demo songs. The band moved to Boston in '88. They seem to have a pretty good following online now, but I don't think they're around anymore. So this is their track, Pushfire.
Yes, let's listen to Pushfire.
Let's.
I really like the guitar in that. So for those of you that don't know, I play guitar, and the chords that they used I think were really nice. They had this really nice like flanger wavering effect going on that I don't know, I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. I liked it. I might check out some of their other stuff. Difficult music.
Difficult music is definitely something that you enjoy.
I do. So our excuse me, our next track is by a band, Think Tree. And the only information I could find out about them was that they were formed in Boston in the mid-'80s. First performed in '87. And their last performance was in May of '93. They had a few songs that were included on Boston radio station WFNX's Top 500 Songs of All Time. This is not one of them.
Oh, I was going to say.
This is Swamp Man. So let's give it
Swamp
a spin.
Man, and who's this by again?
Think Tree.
Think Tree. Swamp Man by Think Tree. Let's take a listen. What the hell was that?
That, my friend, is difficult music.
All I can say is that what I just said is one of those Facebook posts where people try to emphasize a point and there are claps in between. What did we just listen to?
You know, thank you for pointing out. A lot of times when people on Facebook are sending their thoughts and prayers, they put those little hands. Those are hands clapping, not hands praying.
Yeah, I think it's a high five.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
The high five emoji.
Even better, because neither one of those are thoughts or prayers. But
Yeah.
I think getting thoughts and prayers to get through that song, that was, I liked it.
Yeah, and it's not like I hated it. I just, like, I feel like that's what writing something in pencil would be like, and then just smudging it with your finger. Like, that's what it would sound like. Does that make any sense? Probably not. But that's going to be my illusion for the day. So, yeah, very interesting. Difficult music for sure.
Yeah.
The end had little birds chirping and stuff, which I thought was cool.
Nice little outro after
Yeah.
you've sort of endured the rest of the song.
Definitely. So, Swamp Man. And they definitely had like a swampy man kind of sound.
Yeah, I don't know why. the image of a swamp and smudged pencil to me like kind of works together very well.
Yeah. I think that's kind of where, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely swampy.
Yeah, swampy.
Love it. So our next track is from a band called 2 Ton Come On. Nice little play on words.
2 Ton, come on.
Like the King Tut.
Ah.
This is a Boston-based theatrical party band that performs irreverent originals and reimagined covers. They've been an on and off again band for about 30 years. They are still currently active, and I've actually was having an email exchange today with one of the band members, Chris Burble, who is going to send me a bit of a bio on the band probably tomorrow. So I'll add that information in later. But they appear to still be active. And they have a track on this album called Sleeping Beauty.
So let's take a listen to Sleeping Beauty by 2 Ton. Come on.
Let's check them out.
What were you selling? It's a bargain at the table. It's a bargain.
So that was very interesting.
I loved it. Instantly loved it.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like, it's all difficult music in terms of normal music. That's, in time is what I mean by normal. Like, in time, in key, bada bing, bada boom. But in particular, I mean, for what it's worth, I actually enjoy this so far. We're halfway through, and I'm not ready to put a gun to my head yet. So I think that we are in a territory that I think I could be comfortable with. There's really cool guitar work going on there. I liked that they were doing a lot of chanting and shouting as opposed to singing. It was unique.
Yep.
It was a really good kind of unique.
There's something, one of the things that I enjoy about when I listen to difficult music is technically proficient musicians doing something challenging and not normal. There's pop songs and I enjoy them. I like good, listenable music, but this is the kind of thing that makes you think and have feelings that you might not want to have.
Yeah,
but...
and as bizarre as this music sounds, it's not bad music. Like, it takes a lot of skill to make something sound this weird.
Yeah, it's not just knuckleheads banging on sticks. It's
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the side 1 of the record. We're on to side 2 now. So the next band is Woody Trenholm's Brain Ticket.
The only information I could find is apparently Woody is a member of Bent Men. So I'd presume that there's a similar sound, but we won't know until we listen to the song.
Yeah, so let's listen to Woody's song, Don't Be Kind.
It's like I always feel so comfortable with you. And if I cry, you know just what to do.
What do you get when a sitar, Primus, and John Lennon have a baby? You get Woody Trenholm's Brain Ticket.
I really like that.
That was cool.
Like, that's probably my favorite song on here so far. The sitar really hooked me in as soon as it started. Like, it gave me this... I'm going to go here for a second. I don't know why. I'll rein it back in. So, in Bohemian Rhapsody, the part where it goes, shivers down my spine, body's aching all the time. If you listen really closely, Brian May goes to the bridge of his guitar and does like a little shiver thing. And I feel like when this song started, I got that same kind of like just that same kind of vibe you get from it, where it's just like this literal shiver down your spine that you get when listening to it. It's kind of a convoluted way of getting to where I was going with it, but
Cool.
I felt that was really interesting.
Made you feel something.
Yeah. But yeah, it sounded like John Lennon singing with Primus playing and
In a sitar. Yeah. Yeah, that was really good. And interestingly enough, I was fully expecting to sound similar to the Bent Men track, and it was not at all.
Not at all. And I'm thoroughly thankful that it was not the same. No offense. I actually enjoyed the Bent Men track.
Yeah, it was something new. So the next track we have is by Society of Children. I could find absolutely no information about them online. So let's take a listen to
My Asylum.
My Asylum.
That was really new wavy, I think. It's because that like digital kind of.
Yeah, it's a funny time thinking about like 88, 89. So we were kind of in between it. The 80s sound was kind of on its way out, and then the grunge hadn't become a thing yet. Those bands were all doing their things, but that was Seattle and this is Boston. So
Right.
yeah, definitely new wavy feel to it.
Yeah.
Not bad.
I feel like there was kind of a clash there between two different styles, though. I don't know what the two are necessarily, but you can tell decades changing, stuff like there's some things going on there. It was enjoyable.
Yeah. I'm going to guess, if I was going to pigeonhole it, that this whole album seems to be like early industrial scene. So our next track is by Arthur Stone. Also could find absolutely nothing about Arthur Stone. It's difficult because it's a name, but I tried like Arthur Stone band, Arthur Stone Boston, Arthur Stone musician. Excuse me, couldn't pull anything up. So this is all I'll say. And that's all I'll say about that.
You just keep looking for those spots.
So I'm definitely getting a primal, tribal kind of feel from it, like that. Ooh, ooh, ha.
Yeah, that tribal definitely was what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Not bad.
No, not bad. I mean, that's really the gist of it. There's not much more. I think it was not bad, and it sounded like a tribe. Like that's really the gist of it. Straightforward. Sometimes I like those.
Arthur Stone, what became of you? I would like to know more.
I would like to know more.
We did find a little more information about the next band, Common Ailments of Maturity. They're an experimental outfit, and their music was described as restless, jazz-tinged avant rock that was deliciously unbalanced.
Deliciously.
Yeah, that's some pretty flowery writing. But so they have a track on here, and my voice is on its way out. Matterhorn. So that's our next track.
Matterhorn.
Yeah, let's give it a spin.
So I feel like that was like actually you said off mic. I agree with you. The poppiest one on here. It's got like a punk-esque thing going on.
Yeah.
But it's got definitely trying to think of the word for it. Rhythmic, a really nice rhythmic feel.
Yeah.
Like
Feels
it's,
like
it's not weird.
well, yeah, probably I would say one of the most accessible songs.
Yes.
Accessible is a good descriptor. Not bad.
Yeah, no, not bad at all. I would listen to that in my free time. I would.
Common Ailments of Maturity. Let's look and see what else they got, because if also in this description they were talking about sort of a King Crimson sound, jazz tinged. I didn't hear anything jazzy in that.
I heard some jazzy elements, and I don't think it's necessarily the tone, but how they went about actually creating the music, I think had some jazzy elements to it. So I think that's really cool.
Cool. All right, we're down to our last two tracks. The next one is Lunk.
I feel like I've heard of Lunk before, which is weird.
Are you thinking of Lump by Presidents of the United States of America?
No. I could also be getting confused with Kerplunk by Green Day.
Ah.
So, but I don't know. We're going to listen to this next track, Arnold by Lunk.
And as luck would have it, I could find no information about them online, so we're going blind here.
Let's go for it.
All right.
But I continued my training. Finally, I started to win regional titles in my own country.
So I feel like, to an extent, this is going to be a weird statement. The song's called Arnold. I feel like if there was like, Hey Arnold, the series, but him like now, this would be the theme song.
That would be the theme song.
Yeah. It's definitely got a sound.
Sort of pounding.
Yeah.
Rhythmic. I feel like I would really enjoy listening to that live. Like, they're probably a good live band.
Yeah, it's got a really good. What's the song before that was really primal? Chanting kind of feel to it. Really intricate music going on in the background.
Yeah.
Like it takes a lot of skill to make something sound that weird.
I want to listen to that again. We don't have to do that now, but
No,
I would like to listen to it.
No, but it was for what it's worth, and for not knowing anything, I thoroughly enjoyed that song.
Nice. Well, our last track, I could also find no information on this band. The Last Sacrifice is the name of the band. I did find a band called The Last Sacrifice, but they seem fairly contemporary, and I don't think that was them. So these guys couldn't find anything. So they close out this album with a track called Bleeding Woods.
I like the name. Bleeding Woods by The Last Sacrifice.
Here we go. So there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah. When we first started listening to it, I was going to say that it sounded a lot more contemporary than I thought until we got to the end. And then it sounded like a complete, utter dumpster fire in the best way possible.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I can think of songs that I would consider dense, layered. That to me felt more crowded than dense.
Yeah.
A lot of different things clamoring for attention at the same time.
Seems like an undercooked brown, like that kind of dense.
It was cacophonous, which is something that I do like in my music from time to time.
You listen to difficult music.
I like listening to challenging music.
Well, speaking of challenging music, the entire album as a whole, I have to say, I'm just going to give it a number. Give it a number what I thought of the whole thing out of 10, right? I'm going to give that a solid 6.
Nice.
You know, for challenging music, I think that it's a 6 out of 10.
And I really like. I feel like it's a time capsule of a particular scene in Boston, late '80s, early '90s, on the cusp of the music scene changing. And if you think about what we have for a music scene now, there's no genres anymore.
I will say now, disclosure, because I haven't mentioned this at all. I was in a band for a while in the music scene in the South Shore of Boston, right? And from when I used to play, there is a fairly consistent scene of music now. Everyone plays essentially the same genre. It's like this alternative indie sort of punk type of thing. It's an interesting mix.
Yep.
Nothing like this at all. This is a very specific genre. I did play with one group, and for the life of me, I can't remember, but I remember they had a stuffed teddy bear in a giant basket, probably 4 feet high, that they just held up in the air while they played something similar to what this album's like. But yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. A time capsule of a specific scene in a specific time in Boston. And it's really interesting to look at it that way versus just listening to them and taking them individually. And I think when you put it all together, you learn a lot about what certain people thought and felt and had done in that time frame.
I would like to close out our observation on this album by quoting something that Chris Burble wrote to me in his email, and I'm just backtracking. Chris Burble is, excuse me, I hate coughing on, I was going to say camera, but we're not in camera. Chris Burble is one of the members of 2 Ton Come On, and I had an email exchange with him today, and he mentions in his email that he still knows most of the guys from the bands on this record. It was a real tight community at the time that this was done. And he just found a bunch of his old recordings still sealed with the master tapes. And he may release some of that stuff. So I don't know if that's particular to his band or other bands on here too. But it's nice to know that all the guys involved on this record were sort of a tight community, and a number of them still talk to each other.
Yeah, and that sounds a lot like the music scene that I know and I was a part of.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool to be part of that.
It is.
All right. That was the Sound Museum presents Use of the Headlock Dummy, exercise number 1.
We have now come to that point where it is the end of the episode. Wah, wah, wah,
We've been on a journey, and that journey has come to an end.
Yes. So, looking forward, looking next, what do we have going on? So, episode 5, we decided that we'd switch it up a little bit, and that I have an album that I'd like Chris to listen to. The cool part about that album is it's Sports by Modern Baseball. Modern Baseball is not necessarily weird or difficult, I would say, but definitely the way that their sound works, a lot of people don't like them for that reason. They are very popular, though, I will say, in a lot of spots. But it's a very acquired taste. It's the way that they sing things and such. So I'd be interested to see what your take is on it, not being necessarily from the generation that's hypersensitive or emo or whatever you want to call it, that this kind of music stems from. So I think that'll be an interesting episode, hopefully.
I'm looking forward to it. That'll be a nice turn of events.
So this has been another episode of Esoterica, the podcast. Please check out our Facebook page, our Instagram, our other accounts that we will be talking about, our Facebook group. We're on Anchor. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio now. We're all over the place. The only place we're not on is Apple Podcasts yet, which I don't know when we're getting that green light.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a few weeks. So we're currently available on 5 platforms. We are available on Spotify, as we mentioned. We are also on Radio Public, Google Podcasts, and Breaker, and iHeartRadio. So check us out, subscribe, follow. If you have a chance to give us stars or review, please do. And share the words with your friends. The more people that hear about us, the more listeners we get. That encourages us to continue producing higher quality material. So thank you again for listening.
Thank you so much. And we will see you next time on Esoterica, the podcast.
Good night.